Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be taking a look at an article from Mark Ross over at NFL.com, which talks about fifth-year options for the 2021 NFL Draft. And essentially what Mark Ross does here is that he goes through every single first-round pick of the 2021 NFL Draft and gives his thoughts and opinions as to whether or not the team should or shouldn't exercise the fifth-year option. And in the Buccaneers' case, their first-round selection in 2021 was outside edge rushing linebacker Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. Now, I don't know how much the fifth-year option is going to be. The total, I guess, amount of the contract without the fifth-year option is $11 million for JTS. So that is kind of the situation there. Of course, fifth-year options are usually pretty expensive, all things considered, so we will just have to wait and see how much that fifth-year option is, but typically it does go for a pretty high amount. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into it. We're not going to go over every single one. If you guys do want to go over it, check it out. It's a fun article. I think that Mark Ross did an excellent job, and this is definitely one worth reading. But you go all the way down here to pick number 32. This was the year the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, and Mark Ross believes the Buccaneers should exercise the fifth-year option on JTS. The Bucs had the luxury of taking Joe Tryon-Shoyinka here with the hope he would learn from veteran Shaq Barrett and others. He's done that and evolved into an energetic playmaker on the second level for Todd Bowles. And while I do agree with that, I will say this, I don't think that it is 100% a bad idea to pick up the option for Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, but there's a few things to consider here. Number one is, what is your pass rush going to look like in the next 2 years? Is Joe Tryon-Shoyinka expected to be the top guy at that point? Shaq Barrett is still currently on the team. There is going to be some conversations, some talks about the difficult decision of moving on from Shaq Barrett. You have Yaya Diaby there, who's done some really great things in his rookie year. You have Anthony Nelson, who still has one more year on his deal. So there are a lot of considerations there as to whether or not you view Joe Tryon-Shoyinka as a starter moving forward, as a main guy in this pass rushing rotation moving forward, or if you want to go in a different direction. And I think if you had to answer that question right now or upcoming, which the Buccaneers will have to do so, I don't necessarily see them exercising the fifth-year option on JTS. I think that he is still in a prove-it mode with the Bucs. And the reason I say that is because you take a look at the stats, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka has had a lot of opportunities this year. Or I guess I should say in his career so far up to this point, and it hasn't been a situation where JTS has really been able to go out there and be that top pass rushing guy. In 2021, he had 4 sacks. I think that all things considered, that was a solid rookie year for JTS. Then next year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2022, he started 16 games, played in all 17. It's a pretty big deal. That was a big opportunity for JTS. What did he do? He had 4 sacks and 14 quarterback hits on the year. Not necessarily the biggest jump from his rookie year to year number 2. In fact, going on to the stats, the defensive stats for that year, it was 4th on the team, tied for 4th with Antoine Winfield Jr. Anthony Nelson had more, a guy who only started 8 games and was in a rotational type of role. Nose tackle Vita Vea had more, and linebacker Devin White had more also. You had guys rotating in who were doing just as well. Carl Nassib had 3.5 sacks, and he only started 1 game that year for the Bucs and only played in 13. So Shaq Barrett had 3 and only played and started in 8 games. So it was a really big opportunity for JTS, and things just didn't come to fruition like the Bucs thought they would. You can say a very similar thing that happened in 2023 as well, this past year, where JTS, he did play in all 17 games, but he was essentially rotated out towards the second half of the season, only started 12 games this year. He had 5 total sacks on the year, but his quarterback hits were cut in half from 2022 to 2023. And overall, it just hasn't been the large consistency of where the Bucs want him to be. I mean, even if he was getting 7 sacks a year, I think that is very good, very solid consistency. 5 sacks a year is not bad under a lot of circumstances, but the circumstances that are here, where you are a former first-round pick, where you are expected to take that leap and be that leader of the pass rush moving forward, it's just kind of tough. I mean, you literally have a guy in Yaya Diaby, a former third-round draft pick in his own right, go out there in his rookie year, get 7.5 sacks. Antoine Winfield Jr. had 6. Vita Vea, yet again, eclipsed JTS with 5.5. Yes, JTS was 4th on the team again, which is still fine. But whenever you are talking about picking up that 5th-year option, whenever you are talking about what does the long-term future hold for JTS, it isn't necessarily a situation where I would say, yes, pick up this guy's 5th-year option, pay him, I don't know, $13, $14, $15 million, however much that 5th-year option is. I don't believe he has earned that type of contract yet for this team. I mean, even in terms of quarterback hits, big dip. Kalijah Cansey led the way. Vita Vea did better. Shaq Barrett did better. Shaq Barrett only had one half less sack than JTS. And it just, I would say that JTS isn't where the Bucs probably want him to be right now. I don't think he's where Bucs fans had expected him to be right now. And he's had a lot of opportunities so far up to this point. I even want to take a look at the snap counts this year and talk about how things may have taken a bit of a dip throughout the season for JTS. You take a look, if we can find the game logs. Here we go. Let's take a look here. Or I guess I should say snap count. Yes, we're gonna go to snap count, and you look JTS right after the Buccaneers Week 11 loss to the Indianapolis Colts. You look, he only started 1 game down the stretch, and the Buccaneers won 5 out of their 6 games during that stretch. The 1 game that JTS started, they lost. Now, obviously, that isn't a direct correlation of every time JTS starts, the Bucs lose, but it is notable. I would say it is interesting. It is worth talking about because I think it just goes to show that JTS has kind of been relegated to a rotational pass rusher for the Bucs, and I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think right now that's what you have to view JTS as a rotational pass rush specialist type of guy at this point in his career. He's had 3 years to be the guy to go out there and be the main guy, right? He played 50% of snaps in 2021, bumped up to 75% in 2022, bumped back down to 51 in 2023. I think the Buccaneers and Todd Bowles especially have kind of taken a recognition of where JTS's strengths and weaknesses lie. And right now, I don't think you can view him as an every down starting outside edge rushing linebacker, like what Yaya Diaby's developed into in his starting year, what Shaq Barrett was during his prime. And that 100% factors into this 5th-year option. So I'm going to disagree with Mark Ross. I'm going to say that right now, I don't think the Buccaneers would benefit from picking up that 5th-year option. I think that it would have a lot of salary cap constraints on them moving forward whenever they still are going to have a lot of pieces that they're going to have to give big contracts to in the next couple of seasons, even this offseason and next offseason. Just doesn't make a lot of financial sense to me. It doesn't make a lot of football sense to me. And that isn't even to say that Joe Tryon-Shoyinka shouldn't get a future extension with the Bucs. I think that Joe Tryon-Shoyinka should get a future extension with the Bucs, but maybe something on a similar deal to what Anthony Nelson got, a couple-year deal worth around $5 million per year. Seems like right now, that is the trajectory of where Joe Tryon-Shoyinka should be in terms of his future contract with the Bucs. Is it an upgrade in pay? Yes, absolutely. Is it getting paid like a top guy in a pass rush? No, because unfortunately, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka hasn't earned that type of contract yet. But still have a lot of love for JTS. I think he's done some good things in rotational capacity for the Bucs, and that's just where he is at this point in his career, and I don't think that's a bad thing, but that's just what I feel like is the truth of the situation. So what do you guys think about Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and his contract? Do you think they should pick up the 5th-year option? Do you think they should not pick up the 5th-year option this offseason? Let me know your thoughts and opinions about it, guys, down in the comment section below. I would love to hear it. Guys, again, hey, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Go check out the link, by the way, in the description. Go check out FOCO. You use my code BucsNation10. You get 10% off. You can get a lot of really, really cool Bucs gear. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on JTS, how you feel like he has done for the Buccaneers so far this year. How do you feel like he's going to do in the future? And what kind of contract you think he has earned for this team. But again, anyway, guys, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now. See you guys soon, and go Bucs.